All right, there we have it. The deep dive for February 3rd. What your clients need to know before they rent again this year. Throughout this presentation, I have two goals that I want to accomplish, and hopefully they will help you with two of your primary goals. For me, I'm hoping to be able to give you the research and insights that you need to be able to understand exactly why anybody you know needs to be at least thinking about buying a home before they rush into either renting for the first time this year or consider renewing their lease. At the end of this, what I'm going to do is give you a couple of actionable steps so that you can take this content and get some conversation started. It's one thing to just have all this information and understand it yourself. It's another thing entirely to really get it out there and get some conversations going that are going to be able to help drive your business. I'm hoping what that's going to do is help you with your two main goals. First, obviously, you want to help people. I know you want to help those in your community who are deciding where they're going to live this year and make sure that they're making the most informed, confident decision that they can. And second, and this plays right into your first goal, is I'm sure that you want to be able to drive your business. And if you can focus on helping those around you make the best decision for them and their family, you're going to do just that. So I want to start, as we do every deep dive, with this right here. This is why we do what we do here at KCM, not only on the deep dive, but all of us who work here every day. We're focused on the fact that most agents know what's happening. Good agents understand what's happening, but only great agents can explain what's happening. And we want to be sure that you're a great agent. That's our focus here. And part of that is being able to explain why anybody needs to be thinking about buying a home before they make the decision to rent again this year. And part of what I want to do is explain why this topic should be something that you should focus on this week, right now. Obviously, people are making this decision around the country every day, all year. So it's a perfectly relevant thing to talk about at any time. But part of the reason why it's top of mind for us here at KCM right now is we follow tens of forecasts at the start of every year. Hopefully you've seen some of our content forecasting everything from mortgage rates to prices to inventory and so on. But something we've noticed this year is a lot of the forecasts we've been looking at have been talking about what a great year it's going to be in the rental market. So we think that's something that's worth addressing. I want to share with you two of the forecasts that we look at and what they've said recently about renting in 2025. We'll start with this one from realtor.com. It goes to say, in 2025, renting is expected to remain a more cost-effective option than buying in the short term for the vast majority of markets. This is especially true for young adult renters who don't have access to historically high home equity for purchase. So basically, what realtor.com is saying is that it's going to be more affordable for a lot of people in most markets around the country to rent this year than it is to buy a home. That's obviously very appealing. We know that most people make their decision on where they're going to live. One of the top things that they have in mind is, what is their monthly housing payment going to be? And at the end of the day, if the monthly payment on rent is going to be less expensive than that for buying a home, that's going to make a lot of people's decision for them without any more thought. Let's take a look at what Redfin said in their 2025 forecast. They took it a little bit further than Realtor.com. They went on to say 2025 will be a renter's market. Many Americans will remain renters or become renters. While the cost of buying a home will increase, rental affordability will improve. We expect the median U.S. asking rent to remain flat year over year in 2025. There will also be more new rentals coming on the market. So there's two things built in there, and they work together. First off, more new rentals coming onto the market means more options for folks that are considering renting. And obviously, when supply goes up, that puts downward pressure on prices, and that's what's going to keep rents generally flat this year and rental affordability possibly improving. So you see these forecasts, and this is what consumers are seeing when they go to the market and decide where they're going to live this year. They're seeing that, hey, rent is going to be less expensive and I'm going to have more options than usual. I'm sold. decision made. Why do I need to consider this any further? That's obviously something very difficult to go against and very powerful. But what we want to do is give you a couple of slides that will help educate folks on exactly why they should just pause for a second and at least consider buying a home. The first one that I want to give to you is this visual right here. It shows how rents have increased going all the way back to 1988. This comes directly from the census. It includes every quarter, 1988 up until the end of just this past year. And I think what you'll see right away is that this is a pretty powerful visual. It shows a pretty dramatic increase in rents over time. So while rents may not go up drastically over the next 6 months, or maybe even over the next year, thanks to an increased supply of rental properties available, what you can do is show somebody that, hey, if you're going to make this decision to rent this year, just be aware that based on fact, from 1988 up through last year, rents tend to rise over time. And I think a lot of people know that inherently, but they're focused on the short term and they're thinking about what am I going to pay this month, this year, compared to my housing payment, and not always thinking about the long term. So sharing this visual and using this so that they consider the long term is a very important aspect of making that sort of a decision. Now, if we know that rents tend to rise year over year, as a lot of people know that, why do people continue to rent? Obviously, we talked about the affordability issue. A lot of people think there are benefits such as flexibility of moving easily, or low maintenance, or being in the center of a city where they couldn't find a home that was for sale. And while all those might be benefits, we have some research here from Credit Karma that shows the top 2 reasons why people decided to rent last year. First is because they cannot afford to buy. 48% said that. It wasn't the flexibility of moving. It wasn't because they preferred less maintenance. It was simply because they wanted to buy and couldn't afford it. The second reason there is because, and this obviously fits right along with the first, because mortgage rates are too high to make buying worthwhile. So both of these tell us one really important fact. People want to buy a home. They are not deciding to rent primarily because of any of the other benefits renting might bring. It's simply because they would like to buy a home and they're not able to afford it, or they can't see how it makes financial sense right now. And they want to buy in part because they know some of the consequences that come along with renting. I want to share this from the Homebuyer Insights report. This comes from Bank of America. And what it says is many prospective home buyers fear the long-term consequences of renting, including 70% who feel they're not making a long-term investment in their future because they're not, and 72% who worry that rent increases could affect their current and long-term finances. So people are aware of the financial downsides of renting, but they're still drawn to the fact that renting is going to be less expensive this year. I'm going to save some money on my monthly housing payment, and that's good enough for me. Now, here's what I think is very important for you to communicate to these people so that they're making an informed, educated decision about where they're going to live this year. They are thinking, I'm going to save some money this year by renting, and then what might I do with that extra money? Maybe I'll be able to invest it and build wealth that way. They're not always thinking about the long-term financial benefits of owning a home. I have 2 visuals that I want you to use. Either take a screenshot during this presentation, or if you're a KCM member, obviously this will be available in your member area after this, and you can go and use these slides however you'd like. But 2 powerful visuals that explain something about the financial benefit of buying a home that anyone should be aware of before they rent. First is this one. It comes from the National Association of Realtors, and they surveyed people who bought a home last year and found that 79% of buyers view a home as a good financial investment. Now, you can go on to let people know that renting might be less expensive this year, but it is no financial investment. And that if you're ready, willing, and able, if you can afford that mortgage payment on a home, though it may cost a little bit more this year, you're going to get what is viewed as a very good financial investment. You're also, as we've already established, going to avoid rising rents that tend to happen year over year. The second visual that talks about the great financial investment that home ownership is, not only do 79% of buyers think that it's a good financial investment, but how good actually is it? Well, Gallup asks folks this every single year, and over a third of respondents believe that real estate is the best long-term investment that you can make, period. So anyone who is thinking about renting a home and potentially using some of the money they're saving on their monthly payment for maybe the next 6 months or the next year before their rent goes up, maybe they'll be able to invest that in the stock market or bonds, or this year they added cryptocurrency for the first time. 3% of people believe that's the best long-term investment. But really, what they could have done is, if they could afford it, spend a little bit more money up front and get into what is the best long-term investment, according to over a third of Americans, better than just about anything else you can invest in. That's pretty compelling when you're thinking about the long term. But why do so many people believe that real estate is the best investment? Of course, this is just the opinion of some people in a survey, so it's not to say for sure that it is. But what we can do is back it up with data. Here's another visual that you should use when you're having this conversation. Much like we just looked at how rents have increased going back to 1988, we wanted to do the same thing, but looking at home prices. Looks kind of similar. Home prices tend to go up over time. What you'll notice here, looking all the way back 1988 up till the end of last year, there is a brief period there around 2008. We all understand why home prices may have decreased during that time. But in the long run, home prices tend to increase quite a bit. So anyone who is able to afford it and make this decision to buy a home this year instead of renting is going to be able to build equity and grow their net worth. And anyone who is thinking that they're going to rent this year and save some money on their housing payment up front and try to build wealth some other way is going to be missing out on what most believe is the very best investment they could possibly make. So if you're able to afford it, and I keep saying that because obviously renting has a place for many people, and if you can't afford to buy a home, then that's it. You should be renting. But if you can afford it, you're going to be able to get something that is the best long-term investment because home values tend to appreciate over time. We have this quote here from Bankrate. No matter which way the real estate market is leaning, though, buying now means you can start building equity immediately. This is powerful because it's not like you should wait for home prices to rise in the future and then make this investment. Now you've saved on your monthly payment for a while you were renting, but you've missed out on the benefit of the investment that you could have had if you bought right away. So that's something to take into consideration. Even if someone is thinking about buying into the future and they say, maybe I just think I'll rent this year while it's cheaper and maybe home prices will come down or mortgage rates will come down and the market will get a little bit better next year. Let them know about the equity that they're missing this year. Home prices, mortgage rates jumped up a lot in 2022, and a lot of people bought a home at higher home prices, higher mortgage rates than their neighbors just a couple of years prior, and probably felt like they were overspending. But anyone who bought a home 2 years ago, when they felt like they were paying more than they needed to, more than their friends who had done it a couple of years prior, ask them how much equity they've made in the past year or two. It builds up fast. And missing out on that for 1 year of slightly lower rental payments is definitely something to consider before making a decision. Another thing to consider is the general health of the housing market. A lot of people feel that this is going to be a great year for renting, not only because it's going to be probably less expensive and because there are more options than there have been in the past, but because anyone who's been paying attention to the real estate market over the past couple of years is well aware of the fact that a lot of people have been down on the real estate market. We know that sales have been down. We know that home prices are higher. Mortgage rates are higher. There's a lot of volatility and uncertainty in the market, and that's pushing some people away. I would encourage you to share with them not only the forecasts that we've been putting out here at KCM over the past few months, but a simple quote like this from Nadia Evangelou, who is a senior economist at NAR. 2025 is expected to be a year of more opportunities for both home buyers and sellers. So don't let someone get lost in the fact that, oh, there are a lot more places that I can rent this year. And trust me, as someone who lives, KCM is located here in Richmond, Virginia. You don't have to drive very far to see all of the massive rental units, apartments that are being built just about everywhere. The choices seem plentiful. But what people have to understand is going into 2025, there's a lot more inventory of homes available for sale as well. And the market is becoming more balanced. Buyers are having a few more advantages than they had over the past couple of years. So it's not like the real estate market is stagnant from year to year. 2025 is expected to be somewhat better than it was last year. It might be a good opportunity for anyone that you're talking to consider buying a home. So that's the message. You have the visuals. If you're a KCM member, you can go right into the member area and take these visuals, have them on your phone, print them out if you like. Have them at the ready, because the people that you're going to be having these conversations with aren't necessarily your clients already. They may be younger folks who are thinking about, should I buy a home for the very first time? Or it could be any number of people, family members, friends that you see at gatherings that are thinking, do I want to rent this year, or do I want to finally buy a home? A lot of people have put it off for the past couple of years. So now that you have this message, it's really about, what are you going to do with it? It's one thing to just understand this, and anyone who is a real estate agent, anyone who's been in this industry for a while understands the financial benefits of home ownership. But like we said at the very beginning of this, a great agent is able to explain what's happening. And you can't explain this unless you're having conversations with people. I want to share something. This is, I got this from our very own David Childers just last week. And he might have heard it from Jimmy Burgess. I've seen a few books with similar titles too, but it just rings so true for what we're talking about here today. Conversations equal contracts. You can't accomplish your two goals without conversations. You can't help those in your community who are trying to decide where they want to live just by knowing that they could build equity if they bought a home. You have to tell them. And you can't drive your business forward without having these conversations, utilizing these visuals, and just making sure that people have all the information before they move forward with their choice this year. And it's not about selling. It's not about just telling them that buying a home is definitely right for them no matter what. It's about getting to know what somebody is looking for, what's important to somebody, and making sure that they have all the facts. Because some of the facts that a lot of people are going to have are that rent is going to be a little bit less expensive in most markets, and that the number of rental units has gone up. And they're going to see that, and that might be enough for them to make a decision. And that might be a mistake, because they wouldn't have all the information that they really need. And that's where you come in. You get to have these conversations that actually help people around you. And not only do you get to have the conversations, and not only do you have the research and visuals here now just from this presentation, but we're going to take it a step further and give you a couple of actionable steps on how you can get these conversations started right away, today, right after this presentation. We're going to give you a two-step action plan. If you've tuned in the past couple of weeks, you've seen that we've started giving these action plans so that we can take this one step further to go beyond understanding the concept and how you can get it out there and explain. So 2 things you can do today. Won't take long. First, record and share today's Real Talk script on why buying a home beats renting. This script was loaded in the KCM app just a couple of hours ago. We'll take a look at it here in just a second. The second thing I want you to do is send personalized texts to spark interest with potential buyers. Consider who you're talking to here. Generally, these are going to be people that might be first-time home buyers. Maybe they're leaving their parents' home and trying to decide what to do for the first time. Maybe they've been renting the past couple of years and they're deciding if they want to do that again this year. If you can reach these people with video and with text, you have a great chance of getting a conversation started. And that's all it takes. Get the conversation started, see where it goes. Let's take a look at the first thing, what I want you to do. Record and share today's Real Talk script. Listen, plenty of people don't like being on video. I get it. Look at the screenshot of my face. If I can be on video, you can be on video. It's not hard. You can see right here, the estimated read time for this script is only 46 seconds. I'm sure you can spare 46 seconds to record a video. Our team did a great job putting this one together. It uses the graph that shows how rents have increased since 1988, briefly explains most of what we've covered here today, and you can share it on social media. You can send the video in an email. You can send the video in a text. Get it out there. Get your face out there. Make sure people have the information and invite them to start a conversation with you. It's that simple. If you're a KCM member, you can go right to mykcm.com. You'll be able to see this script along with at least 11 others that are in the app right now. We rotate them on a regular basis, so you always have the most up-to-date content about what's important in the real estate market with facts and data to back everything up, helping you have conversations not only about why buying a home might be the right choice for some people this year, but there's plenty of other great stuff in there too. I encourage you to check it out. If you're not a KCM member, try KCM.com. It's going to be where you need to go. It's free. It's easy. Give it a shot. See what you think. We put these scripts together. They don't take long. It's very simple and easy. And then you have powerful video that you can share in a number of ways to explain what's going on in the real estate market. Second thing, send personalized text to your clients. You probably know what that means already. I'm sure you could come up with some great text yourself. We went ahead and put 3 together for you so that you can just use these, put them out there, think about who you're sending them to, and it can be that simple. Feel free to take a screenshot of these, or again, this is available in the member area if you're a KCM member. First one, is your lease about to expire? Before you renew, let's run the numbers. You might be surprised what buying a home could look like. It's powerful. People who rent, especially on just a 6-month or 1-year basis, are constantly aware of when their lease is going to come up and what they're going to need to do next. Do they want to stay in the same spot? Maybe. But if rents go up like they typically do, that payment's going to get a little bit bigger. This is something for them to think about. Here's another one. Owning a home is one of the best ways to build long-term wealth. Would you like to learn how? We just gave you a couple of great visuals, so it might be the very best way to build long-term wealth in the opinion of many people. Sharing that with someone might just give them a thought that they hadn't had before and get that conversation started. Here's one more. Rents keep climbing. If you're renting now, you might be paying way more in a few years. Want to explore buying instead? Help explain to people that if you use a 30-year fixed rate mortgage to buy a home, your principal and your interest is going to stay exactly as it is for the life of the loan. Your mortgage payment might change ever so slightly as insurance or taxes change, but you're going to be able to avoid that ever-increasing rent hike that so many people deal with on an annual basis. So I hope this has been helpful. Again, try KCM.com for anybody who is not a KCM member. And if you are, again, this is all available in your member area. Reach out if you have any questions about how to access it or you're having any trouble. We're always here and happy to help. We really appreciate you being here. We'll be back next Monday, February 10th. Dave Childers will be back. So if you missed him today, don't worry. He's back next week. We'll be talking about home prices. And for everybody who's joined us today, whether you're a longtime KCM member or brand new, we appreciate you starting your week with us. Hopefully you found this helpful and valuable, and we look forward to seeing you again next week. Take it easy.